Have you ever been in a room where you knew you were capable, but nobody treated you like it? You shared an idea, and they talked over you. You told someone your goal, and they smirked. You stayed quiet, and they assumed you had nothing to say. It's a strange kind of pain. Not loud, not dramatic, just subtle disrespect. The kind that makes you question yourself later. Maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I'm overestimating myself. Why does this keep happening to me? And the worst part, they don't even think they're insulting you. They just don't see you as a threat. They see you as harmless, predictable, small, and something inside you burns. You don't want applause. You don't want approval. You want one thing, for them to realize they were wrong. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you try to prove them wrong emotionally, you confirm their low opinion of you. And this is where most people fail. Because what if being underestimated is not a weakness? What if it's your greatest strategic advantage? What if the strongest position in any power dynamic is the one nobody sees coming? Machiavelli understood something dangerous about human nature. And once you understand it, you will never respond to disrespect the same way again. Let's talk about how to make people regret underestimating you, without begging, arguing, or seeking validation. Let's get something straight. This is not about revenge. This is not about humiliating people. It's not about becoming bitter. It's not about proving your worth to people who doubted you. That mindset keeps you emotionally chained to them. This is about repositioning power. There's a huge difference. Most people experience underestimation as rejection, but underestimation is usually something else. It's miscalculation. People underestimate what they don't understand. They underestimate the quiet kid in the class, the new employee in the office, the calm person in the argument, the young entrepreneur with a big vision. If you appear too kind, too soft-spoken, too patient, too new, too young, people assume you lack power, not because you do, but because you don't signal it the way they expect. Here's where Machiavelli becomes relevant. One of his most powerful principles was this: never reveal your full strength prematurely. Why? Because once people see your limits, they adjust to them. But when they don't know your limits, they guess. And humans are terrible at guessing depth. Underestimation is often not about your ability. It's about perception. And perception can be controlled. So instead of fighting underestimation, instead of reacting emotionally, instead of desperately trying to prove yourself, you weaponize it. You let them misjudge you. You let them lower their guard. You let them relax. Because the greatest shock in power dynamics is not loud dominance. It's unexpected dominance. So the real question is not, how do I stop people from underestimating me? The real question is, how do I use their misjudgment to build leverage? And to answer that, first we need to understand why it happens in the first place. Before you change the game, you have to understand the rules. Most people think underestimation happens because they lack talent. That's rarely true. It happens because humans judge fast and shallow. Your brain, my brain, everyone's brain, is wired for shortcuts. We don't analyze depth. We scan for signals. Posture, tone of voice, speed of response, eye contact, how much space you take up in a room. Within seconds, people unconsciously rank you. Not based on your intelligence, not based on your potential, but based on perceived power. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Confidence often beats competence. You can be highly skilled, but if you hesitate when you speak, if your voice trembles slightly, if you over-explain your ideas, people register uncertainty, and uncertainty lowers status. There's also something deeper happening. Humans are hierarchical creatures. In every group, school, workplace, friend circle, family, an invisible ranking system forms. And the moment you appear agreeable, overly nice, or eager to please, You accidentally signal, "I'm safe. I'm not a threat. I won't challenge the order." And the brain categorizes you accordingly. This doesn't mean being kind is weak. It means being kind without boundaries is often interpreted as weakness. Underestimation is rarely about your true ability. It's about your power signals, the way you hold eye contact, the way you pause before responding, the way you avoid rushing to fill silence, the way you don't immediately justify yourself. These micro signals shape perception more than your resume ever will. And once a perception is formed, it sticks. People get comfortable with the version of you they've labeled. That's why underestimation can feel suffocating. It's not just that they don't see you clearly. It's that they think they've already figured you out. But here's the strategic advantage. If they think they've figured you out, they stop watching carefully. And when people stop watching carefully, they make mistakes. Now that you understand why underestimation happens, let's talk about the biggest mistake people make when it does. And this is where most people destroy their own leverage. Here's what almost everyone does when they feel underestimated. They react immediately. They start explaining themselves. They talk louder. They defend their ideas harder. They try to prove their intelligence on the spot. And it feels justified. Because inside, there's frustration. Why don't they see it? Why don't they get me? Why do I have to keep proving myself? So you push, you argue, you over-clarify, you send that extra paragraph, you make that extra point, you try to force recognition. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you need someone to recognize your value, you lose leverage. Defensiveness confirms low status. Think about it. Have you ever seen a truly powerful person desperately explaining themselves? No. High-status individuals don't rush to justify. They don't panic when doubted. They don't fight for approval, because they don't need it. When you react emotionally to underestimation, you signal two things. 1, you care deeply about their opinion. 2, their judgment has power over you, and power flows to whoever controls your emotional state. This is the Machiavellian truth most people don't want to hear. The second you react emotionally, you hand them control of the frame. You step into defense mode. And defense mode is automatically lower status. That doesn't mean you suppress emotion in an unhealthy way. It means you delay reaction strategically. You observe. You calculate. You let them underestimate. Because when someone underestimates you, they relax. And relaxed opponents reveal weaknesses. But if you don't react, if you don't defend, if you don't rush to prove, then what do? You replace reaction with something far more dangerous. Strategic silence. And this is where power quietly begins to shift. Silence is uncomfortable. That's why most people can't use it. When someone dismisses you, when someone challenges you, when someone subtly disrespects you, your instinct is to fill the space, to respond, to defend, to correct them. But silence does something powerful. It creates tension, and tension creates attention. When you don't immediately react, people start recalculating. Why didn't they respond? Did that not affect them? Are they thinking something I'm not seeing? Silence introduces uncertainty, and uncertainty increases perceived depth. Psychologically, humans fear what they can't predict. If you argue, you become predictable. If you stay calm and silent, you become unreadable. And unreadable people feel dangerous. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being controlled. There's a difference. Imagine two scenarios. Scenario 1, someone questions your ability publicly. You respond instantly, emotionally, trying to explain your competence. Energy drops. People sense insecurity. Scenario 2, someone questions your ability publicly. You pause. You look at them calmly. You say, "Interesting," and you move on. Now the room feels different. Because calmness under pressure signals internal power. Let me tell you a real-world pattern. In almost every competitive environment, sports, business, academics, the people who are underestimated and stay quiet often shock everyone later. Not because they screamed louder, but because they prepared while others relaxed. Underestimate, silence, preparation, surprise, dominance. That sequence is powerful. Silence gives you time. Time to observe. Time to improve. Time to plan your reveal. And when people believe you're harmless, they stop defending against you. But silence alone isn't enough. Because if you stay silent without growing stronger, you're just quiet. To make them regret underestimating you, you have to build power where no one sees. And that's where the real work begins. This is the part nobody sees, and that's the point. Most people want respect immediately. They want recognition now. They want visible status. But real power is built privately. While they underestimate you, you train. While they ignore you, you study. While they laugh, you refine your skill. This is the Machiavellian advantage. Appear weaker than you are, until the moment it benefits you to reveal strength. That doesn't mean pretending to be incompetent. It means not advertising your full capacity. There's something dangerous about someone who improves silently, because growth without announcement creates shock. Public image is often an illusion. Actual capability is built in solitude. Think about athletes who train before sunrise, entrepreneurs who build in obscurity, students who study while others scroll. Nobody claps for them in the beginning. In fact, people often doubt them. But that doubt becomes fuel. And here's something important. When people underestimate you, they stop competing with you seriously. That gives you space. Space to learn faster. Space to experiment. Space to fail privately. They're not watching closely. And that is leverage. Most people waste energy trying to correct perception. The smart move? Upgrade reality. Improve your competence so deeply that when the moment arrives, there is no argument left, only results. This requires discipline. Discipline when nobody sees you. Discipline when nobody believes in you. Discipline when it feels pointless. Because one day, the opportunity will appear. A meeting, a competition, a public moment, a test of skill. And that's when silence turns into impact. That's when underestimation turns into shock. Then comes the moment. There's always a moment, a test, an opportunity, a challenge, a spotlight that suddenly turns your way. This is where most people ruin everything, because they've been waiting for this moment emotionally. They want to prove. They want to embarrass. They want to show everyone they were wrong. But power is not loud. Power is precise. When the opportunity appears, you don't overperform. You don't taunt. You don't say, "I told you so." You execute. Calmly, cleanly, decisively. And then you step back. That's it. The shock of unexpected competence is far more powerful than emotional revenge. Psychologically, here's what happens. When someone misjudges you, and then reality contradicts their judgment, their brain experiences cognitive dissonance. Their internal narrative breaks. They thought you were average. Now you're outperforming them. They thought you were harmless. Now you're dominating the moment. That shock creates a new category in their mind, and humans respect what they miscalculated. But here's the deeper strategy. You don't reveal everything at once. You show enough to reset perception, not enough to make yourself predictable again, because mystery sustains power. If you brag after winning, you shrink the impact. If you stay composed after winning, you magnify it. Imagine someone who was doubted for years. Then, one day, they deliver a result that silences the room. They don't raise their voice. They don't mock anyone. They simply perform. That performance speaks. and silence afterward makes it echo. This is how people start to rethink you. This is how respect shifts. But here's something even more powerful. If you still need them to regret underestimating you, you're still emotionally attached. And attachment weakens long-term power. There's a level beyond revenge, and most people never reach it. Here's the level most people never reach. They win, but they're still angry. They succeed, but they're still replaying old disrespect in their head. They outperform, but they still crave the apology. That means they're still controlled. Because if you need someone to regret underestimating you, your identity is still tied to their opinion. True power is emotional independence. It's when you can say, "They misjudged me. That's fine. They doubted me. That's normal. They didn't see my value. That's their limitation." And you move forward without emotional charge. Machiavellian thinking isn't about cruelty. It's about control. Control over reaction. Control over ego. When you detach, something shifts. Underestimation stops feeling personal. It becomes data. You observe it, you note it, you adjust strategy, but you don't internalize it. There's a spiritual layer to this. When your self-worth no longer depends on recognition, you become unshakable. Criticism doesn't destabilize you. Praise doesn't inflate you. Doubt doesn't weaken you. You operate from internal authority. And here's the paradox. The less you care about making them regret, the more powerful you become. Because now you're not building to prove. You're building because that's who you are. Underestimation becomes camouflage. Silence becomes strategy. Discipline becomes identity. And this is where most people fail. They want the outcome, but they don't want to let go of ego. If you can let go, you unlock something far more dangerous than revenge, an identity shift. At the beginning of this video, you were probably thinking, how do I make them regret it? Now the question should be different. How do I become undeniable? Because when your identity changes, your entire presence changes. You're no longer the person trying to be seen. You're the person building power. You stop announcing your goals. You stop explaining your potential. You stop defending your ambition. You just work, quietly, relentlessly, strategically. Underestimation stops feeling like insult. It becomes camouflage. Silence stops feeling like weakness. It becomes tension. Discipline stops feeling like punishment. It becomes revenge, but not emotional revenge. Strategic revenge, the kind where results speak so loudly that nobody can rewrite the story anymore. And here's the ultimate truth. The goal is not to make them regret. The goal is to reach a level where their opinion is irrelevant. Because once you become undeniable, regret happens automatically, not because you demanded it, but because reality forced it. This is the shift from seeking approval to building leverage, from reacting emotionally to responding strategically, from proving yourself to improving yourself. And when you live like that, people don't just stop underestimating you. They start watching you carefully. Now let's close this the right way. If you're building in silence right now, if people don't see your vision yet, if they've already decided who you are, good. Let them. Let them relax. Let them underestimate. Let them think they've figured you out. Because while they're comfortable, you're evolving. And remember this, the loudest people in the room are rarely the most dangerous. The most dangerous person is the one who improves quietly and reveals strategically. If this message resonated with you, it means you're not looking for validation. You're looking for leverage. This channel is for people who think long-term, people who value discipline over drama, people who understand that power is built, not announced. So, if you're serious about mastering human behavior, understanding power dynamics, and becoming mentally unshakable, subscribe, not for motivation, for strategy. And next time someone underestimates you, don't argue, don't explain, don't react. Smile internally and get back to work. Because one day, you won't need them to regret it. Reality will do that for you.